What's going on, my YouTube people? How's everybody doing? I hope everyone is doing great as usual. Thank you so much for all your support, guys. You guys are the best. Feeling the love, guys. It's lit. Thank you so much. This one's going to be short, guys. Gotta go, but I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. First and foremost, I want to introduce the two TVs. We have the A95L by Sony in the 77-inch. We have the G4 by LG also in the 77-inch. The A95L to the left, the LG to the right. Keep it simple, guys. We are using a 4K HDR demo by Jennifer Gala. She is the best. Big fan of her. I'm a subscriber. I have no affiliation with her. I'm not even on her radar. She doesn't even know who I am. But if you like to sample your TV and see what it's capable of doing, check her content out and use it. I'm telling you, you will be able to know what your TV is capable of by using her content. It is truly the best. She's my favorite demo content creator on YouTube, hands down, point blank, period. So nonetheless, guys, what I want to do first, I'm going to let this sample let this demo roll throughout the entire time. But I just want to be clear here. I'm going to go ahead and show you my settings just for transparency purposes, because I know a lot of people out there say that us YouTubers like to nerf the settings to make one look better than the other, which is just, clearly and obviously not true. So anyways, let's go here. I'm going to go to the G4. We're going to hit settings. Let this load. Advanced settings, brightness. You can see we are at 100 for both brightness and contrast. Black levels dead center at 50. Dynamic tone mapping is off. We're going to keep it off for this comparison. Expression enhancer is off, which I'm actually a fan of for the G4 this year. Did check it out. I do like it. Now let's go down to color. You're going to see we are at 55. Color gamut is on auto detect, but auto detect and dynamic are basically the same. So I'm just going to keep it there. White balance, we are at warm 50. We're going to scroll all the way down so you can see everything is at 0. All right. Now we're going to go to clarity. We are at sharpness 4 and everything else is off. And that's pretty much about it there. All right. Now we're going to hit up the A95L. All right, guys. So we're going to go to picture. As you can see, we are also in standard. Brightness maxed out. Contrast maxed out. Gamma dead center. Tone mapping off. Black level at 50. Black adjust is off. Not a fan. Advanced contrast enhancer. I am a fan of it actually, but this is going to be off for all intensive purposes. Peak luminance is on high. Color is at 55. Hue is dead center. Live color is off. Color temperature is on warm. Not a fan of the other ones. Maybe expert one sometimes, but other times not a fan of. Clarity. Sharpness is on 4. Reality creation is off, as you guys can see. And then we're going to go down to your signals. As you can see, we are on auto detect for color space, and HDR mode is also on auto detect. But just to let you guys know, since this is a 4K HDR demo, it's going to automatically default to HDR 10 on the A95L. And then as you see, BT 2020 and auto are literally the same. There is no difference there. So it auto detects to BT 2020 also on the A95L when receiving a 4K HDR demo or a signal. All right. And that's pretty much about it. And I will give you some of my thoughts at the end of just things I noticed over time. Just another fair warning, guys, before I start really quick is, let me back out. You're going to notice, oh, sorry. Let me bring that down. You're going to notice that the A95L is probably going to look a little bit more on the pink side. let me just tell you guys and be as transparent as possible here. Yes, it is noticeable in person only when they're side by side that you do see a little bit of pink, but it is not. The pink does not look as, let's just say, use the word pink through the camera. It just looks more pink through the camera than it does in real life. It is a lot closer. They look a lot more similar in person. All right, just to get that out the way. So if you notice anything like that, just remember in person, it does not look as pink as it does through the camera. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and let this play, and I'll be back. All right, guys.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
All right, guys. So you guys saw that quick demo there, and let me just tell you guys what I've noticed after a while. So, yes, I I do love the A95L. Yes, I do love the G4. Can I pick which TV is better at this moment? I just can't. So I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. The reason why is because it really takes a lot more using of the TVs, especially like, when you put them side by side to really figure out what you really like. And it's hard to because they both have their own strengths. I know you guys are probably sick of hearing this, but you're literally talking about the two best TVs or potentially the best TVs in the world right now as we speak. All right. So it's just kind of hard. You can't just solidly hold pick one because everybody has different opinions. Now, let me just say this. I do see a difference when we are out of game mode compared to when we are in game mode for both TVs. When we are out of game mode, just like we are now, I'm noticing more color brightness out of the A95L. I'm noticing brighter highlights or specular highlights out of the A95L in standard mode. I honestly haven't really looked at filmmaker mode yet, at least to an extent where, I'm noticing differences. You have to kind of really just sit there for a while and actually look. But I can tell you guys that in standard mode, which is a mode that I think a lot of us really enjoy because we can get more brightness out of it and more color out of it. Just make sure that you really kind of put your TVs more on the warm side. I think it just overall naturally looks better to the human eye. But nonetheless, they both do a great job. But I would have to say the A95L just has a pop to it in standard mode, out of game mode, that the G4 just lacks. And it has a lot to do, obviously, with the panel technology. So it's just, to me, a proven fact that you can have a beast of a processor just like what the G4 is now. It is truly a step up, and especially in like certain aspects compared to its prior models, G2, G3, C2, C1. It's just you can see the progress, especially when you own as many as me. All right. Definitely see the improvements, but it's still a WOLED TV regardless. So there's going to be certain times where you do notice that, you know what I mean? But here's what the other thing that I notice with the G4 that is just hands down amazing. Better than any other TV I've ever seen in my entire life with the G4. Has a lot to do, again, with their new processor. No matter what mode you're in, this is what I just immediately noticed. I could be, again, in filmmaker mode, Dolby, HDR 10, I don't care what it is, game mode. The fine detail within the G4 is definitely next level. All right. It's just there, it's noticeable, and they really pull ahead of everybody else that I can think of. Again, obviously, I can only really go based off of the TVs that I own, but I tend to buy the TVs because I'm spoiled like that for, I'm basically trying to purchase the best TVs that you can possibly buy in the market. All right. And, and the best premium TVs right now are either the A95L or the G4. All right. Here, I'll just let this again play while we talk a little bit more. But so that right there, hands down, the G4 just has. I just feel like nobody's going to be able to touch that this year, at least. All right. In game mode, when game optimizer is enabled, and when game mode is enabled with the A95L, the story changes a little bit. I feel like I get actually more or brighter highlights out of the G4 over the A95L. All right. I feel like colors become actually more equal between the two TVs in game mode. And don't get me wrong, guys. I understand that QD OLED, especially the A95L, measures better as far as, more color purity, gradients, and things like that. But I just feel like it really depends on what mode you're into, where those facts are represented. All right. Or utilized. But again, as you can clearly see it, that's why I wanted to stop at this sample here. The A95L just pulls away from the G4. We have HDR tone mapping off for both. We can even, it doesn't really matter where you set your HDR to. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now just to show you guys, because I know there's going to be a lot of people already saying, well, that's because tone mapping is off and such, but it doesn't matter. We're going to go to it right now. Let's go and skip to brightness preferred. And then let's skip right to dynamic tone mapping on. Just so you can see at maxed out tone mapping what they're actually capable of doing. All right, so here we go. Out of game mode, in standard mode, and they look closer, but at the same time, look who pulls off the win. The A95L. It's brighter. It is representing the highlights a little bit better. So, but don't get me wrong, they're super, super close. So that's just my personal opinion and things that I'm noticing. But I will say once again, the G4, when it comes to clarity, when it comes to fine details, I'm telling you guys, it's better than the Sony A95L. There's no way around it, in my opinion. It is definitely a much clearer TV than any other LG OLED out there. Just because the processing has just been enhanced so well. It does a really good job. And I'm a huge fan of that. I really, really am. Now, I will say, I think I've heard other YouTubers say this too, and I completely agree with them. The LG G4 is impressive in such a way where it really does look like a QD OLED most of the time. Yeah, it may not on paper be able to pull off, color as good as a QD OLED in terms of purity, things like that, color brightness. But there are still times where actually the color can pull off even nicer than a QD OLED in certain colors, so they do still trade blows. I wouldn't say it's a clear winner for the G4, but just because of the fact that a WOLED can get so much clarity and so much fine detail out of a WOLED just really shows that it's not always, just because QD OLED is a newer technology, it doesn't mean it's always better. It has a lot to do with the processing. And it's literally, the G4 is living proof of that. Sony can come out with a TV next year and blow everybody away with a new processor and a new QD OLED. You never know. I'm just speaking specifically now. That's what it's looking like. So that's all I really wanted to say. I'll get more into it, guys. But I do have to go. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you so much.